Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another segment of the Cash Geeks Network. As you guys know, we come at you guys live every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, with real people, someone crushing it in the game. And today, I'm super excited because we have somebody from St. Pete, which is near the neck of the woods where I kind of grew up. So I'm excited to see what we got going on. But you guys know we bring in the heat. We bring in someone who's actually doing deals, crushing it. My man, Jason Palliser. Can we have him come on?
What's up?
What's up, man?
How are you?
Good, good, good. How are you?
I'm good. Just got off a plane and was racing home to join you and have some fun.
Yeah, man. Where'd you travel to?
Denver.
Oh,
So
nice.
went to Denver, came back, and then we'll be there in another month. Just got a condo out there, and we're gonna Airbnb it out, but then use
Oh,
it for ourselves during the ski season, stuff like that.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, Jason, for people watching, and by the way, thank you so much for doing this, taking the time out of your day
Yeah,
to add value to me and my sphere. Um, for people who are watching and maybe they have no idea who Jason Palliser is, can you kind of give us just a brief intro? Who are you? What are you doing right now? And then we'll kind of get into the behind the scenes of how you got to where you are today.
yeah, sure. So a little bit of background on me. Started my professional career on the funding side of things first. So
Got it.
investment funding specialist. So wore that hat for 28 years, and so basically, I learned all the hard stuff. I learned all the investment funding programs. Most bankers don't do that. They just say, "Oh, you need to refinance your house or buy a house." And what I quickly learned though is that um, on my end, like investors come back to you over and over and over and over and over. So
Right.
that so I was like, you know what? It's less pay because it's more risk for a bank on an investment property. But if I get good at this, investors come back to me over and over and over. So
That repeat
that's how I
business.
started, right? And then I quickly realized that maybe I should invest too, because all these investors, every time I would say, "Hey, can you come in to close it too?" No matter what time I said, they're like, "Sure." I'm like, "Okay." They
Right.
control their day, so I started investing myself, and then got hired to speak at some of the TV shows as a expert trainer on whatever subject they wanted. The Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, wow.
Built a real estate automation software company and sold that company called REI Black Book. Um,
Yeah, I
and
remember.
yeah, so sold that, and for several years, for 8 years now, I canceled all that stuff. And in today's world, I just do off-market acquisition funnels for people. So we attack cities 34 ways, and 18 of those 34 lead funnels are free. And our whole basis is to suffocate a city. When most investors do two things, we want to put in place 34. So every conceivable motivated seller path leads back to us or a client. And so in today's world, that's what we do. And we've done thousands and thousands of transactions for our larger clients and also individual clients.
Wow, that's awesome. And so what does that look like as far as you working with clients? Is it that you teach them how to do it or you guys work together in their markets? What does that look like?
It's a variation. It's a hybrid. Very good question, by the way. So what happened was this. It's fun being say, hey Jason, hey, can you fly to Seattle and teach owner financing for the weekend, or teach flips or whatever it is for some of these TV show entities, the Kiyosaki stuff like that. It's fun, but the rules are: when I'm done teaching you, can't talk to you. When
Mm,
I'm done teaching you, as you just mentioned, can't do deals with you. Those are anything that I have built. If it's off limits, right? Because every time I would speak, I would take a break, and people would be like, "Hey, can I have that daily flow and operations that you have built?" I'm like, "No, you know the rules." So, what that looks like is this: we will do a setup for a client and put them in a position to, like, when we get hired to do 40 or 50 houses a month. doing the same setup for an individual investor to get to 5 contracts a month is literally like breathing air. It just happens for me. So we build that out for them. What happens is they're like, holy cow, I flipped the switch. You're right. I am in front of everything first. And invariably, every single time, a client is going to get in front of a deal that they know within 1 second flat. It's a good deal, but I have no business closing this transaction. So what happens is we have an open door policy to where once we do a setup for you, it's ongoing permanent access to us, our team, and our resources, and we'll close that deal with the client. So working with us, it's literally open ended, and we set everybody up to beat everyone to everything and close the deals they want in whatever fashion they want. Because the name of the game is to get there first,
Right.
and that will never change. And so do with the leads and the good ones what you will with it, but you're going to get in front of good ones that need to close lightning fast,
Right.
or the down payment it's a 200 unit and the down payment's 4.8 million, and in 1 second flat you're like, yeah, I don't have anywhere close to that. So what they do is they'll come to me and I'll put them in the appropriate bucket with some of the larger clients that I've worked with for years. So to me, what it looks like is just simply setting you up to win. And when there's something that's outside of the scope of what you can close, you send it over to us, and I'll put it with the appropriate party. So if you came to me with a multi-unit, I put you with Joe Pagano Jr., a few other people. If it was a land development deal, I'll put you with a gentleman named Jonathan, or mobile home park, or RV resort, or golf course, or what. You just, once we set you up, I know you're going to beat everybody to everything, and then we'll close deals together.
Wow, that's awesome. And so it doesn't sound like it's just like a wholesale thing, right?
Ooh, no. So a typical question, like when people schedule a call with us, usually they come to us, they're like, hey, someone referred me to you. I heard that you can take over a city 34 ways and do it without a budget. That's the number one reason people come to us. Show me how to do this without a budget. And but they come to us, and half of the people are just doing it to get cash flowing assets. Like, I'm going to beat people to the good stuff because I'm buying from wholesalers and I'm over it, right?
Right.
And so are the larger companies that need 40 or 50 contracts a month, and we set up their 2-day blueprint. They're just grabbing the deals to keep as rentals, but I do 70% wholesale.
Got it.
So the other 30% I'll cherry pick for a good flip or a good cash flowing asset. But the game doesn't change. He or she who's got the machine to get there first will always win.
Yeah. 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 You want to be first to market, basically, right? That's the name of the game.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay. And so as far as, I mean, you kind of have the hardest part figured out, right?
Yep.
I'm sure, everybody who's listening and the people that you're working with, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a wholesaler, like the hardest part is getting in front of the right leads, but also in front of the right leads at the right time, right?
Wow, we're starting off hot. You're 100% correct. So this is like 90% of the time when somebody says, "Hey, tell me more about your setup. I'm interested," and kind of walk me through it. The number one thing is, "Hey, can you please get me in front of the good leads? I feel like my market's saturated."
Yes.
If I hear that again, I'm like, my market's saturated. I'm like, wait a second. Somebody's going to win. Why can't it be you?
Yeah.
Right. So I hear that one, or man, I just can't get any good leads. And I get it, but you hit the nail on the head. It's not just getting good leads. It's, do you have the skill set to engage these different off market lead funnels, engage these motivated leads the right way? Like one example, based upon what you said, one example is this. So in conversation, I'll tell people, I'm like, look, we track all 34 different lead funnels. So I know which ones rank number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In any given city that we're in 138 cities. So I have a pretty big sample size. And I always tell everybody, one of my favorite lead sources is always the top 2, 3, or 4 is delinquent property tax homeowners.
Mm.
States put laws in place. State put laws. They all put laws in place to get their property tax money come hell or high water, right? So those are good leads by definition. But when people say, "Well, I'm having problems getting good leads," I always laugh and say, "Well, when you have 34, that game's over." But let's just specifically speak about one. So in the county that I'm in right now, Pinellas County, if I look up delinquent tax, there's 14,000 people who missed a property tax payment. So I always kind of push back and say, so if that's the truth, then you don't have a lead problem. And I always ask, are we in agreement? If you have 14,000 and it's always a top 2 or 3 or 4 lead source when we track it, and to rank, it's got to have 2 of the 3 of fastest conversation to contract, so we don't have to follow up 5,000 times, highest level of
Mm.
motivation, and then highest payoff on the back end, equity spread, and or cash flow on the back end. So we track all that, right? So when somebody says that, I say, you don't have a lead generation problem because there's 14,000 on a very good lead source. What you have is, I don't know how to engage them the right way, so they come to me the right way problem. That's a very fair statement, and those are the things that we solve.
Got it.
Yeah, so without a doubt, that's what we solve for people. And when you do it for these big companies over the years, and you get this big of a sample size, like any of the 34 lead sources I've tested, anywhere from as little as 20 different ways up to one of the largest ones, 200 different ways. So we know which one wins.
Right. If you don't mind me asking, and I don't want you to reveal too many of your secrets, but what would you say is probably one of the industry's most, I guess, the most known form of hot marketing that really isn't hot, right? Like what is there something out there that you feel or hear that a lot of people are doing
Yeah.
really at the bottom of that 34,
Yep.
but everybody kind of goes to them? I don't know. Is there something there?
Yeah. Hey, and I always change my voice to talk like a guru. Hey, just get a vacant list. Get a vacant list, and then just cold call and text message. And if you're consistent,
Yeah.
we'll close deals. And so we track all that stuff. So when we go through each lead source, we let everybody know, hey, this one we close 1 out of every 42.
Mm.
This one we close 1 out of every 4.
Got it.
1 out of every 7, out of every 12. So when you get to the vacants and the high equity absentee owners,
Yeah. Yeah.
though you end up with, screw you. How'd you get my number? Not for sale, or just no response. So it's very labor intensive for the
Yeah.
ROI on the back end. The level of motivation isn't there comparatively speaking to other lead sources. So I always joke with everybody. Like I just finished a blueprint build out just recently here a few days ago. And when we started going through each one of the lead sources, and like we show them how to do direct mail for free. It took me 11 years to crack that code.
Wow.
Now you compete against the biggest player in town overnight, because the biggest player in town that closes a lot of deals spends 15 grand a month on direct mail, but
Yep.
they might close 5 deals just off their direct mail channel and make 100 grand a month. So they spend 15 grand to make 100. Most investors won't do that because that's too scary, right?
Correct.
We show them how to compete there, but we rank them all. So as we go through a build out, we're like, hey, here's the reason you're going after this one. Hey, when you go after vacants, it's 1 out of every 42, 47 that you might close. That's a long game. It takes a while,
Right.
right?
Right.
But then we have other lead sources that are like white hot right out of the fire, that are 1 out of every 4, or 1 out of every 7 or 8. And so when we lay that out for them and show them that, because no one really teaches them that, then the byproduct is, when they're done and they have their operations map and daily flow built, I always tell everybody, like, isn't it going to be fun that next week no one can tell you how the day is going to go, because you already know
Yeah.
why you're doing this. Because we break down to, what do you do first, second, third, fourth. We have a perfect day built out that we can rip through in 2.5 hours. And quite frankly, in 2.5 hours, you can get done more than most investors would do in a week or a week and a half.
I
Because
love that.
they're just doing because now you're doing stuff the right way in the right order.
Correct.
And I'm I am no genius by any stretch of the imagination. All I do is pay attention to the data. And when I get hired not to miss a deal in a city, and they're like, okay, we got to average 50 homes a month. Um, for all you that listen to this or hear this, believe you me, that's pressure. And we don't miss a deal. Like when we do a setup, we don't miss a deal. We can't afford to.
Wow. That is very unique, man. I'm happy that I had you on because I've never really even considered. I guess I haven't seen this out there. I haven't seen something like this out there. Everybody wants to teach the absentee owner.
Oh yeah, we could have fun
Studying.
with it. Let's have fun with it. Absentee owner, vacant list, um, drive for dollars with no real
Yeah,
direction,
correct.
or what's sexy right now? Subject to. I
Right,
like people are
creative
like,
stuff.
dude, you're about the subject to. I'm like, been doing that for 20 plus years. And then what's my favorite one lately? Novations. I'm like,
Yes.
that's called a seller partnership deal. And now they added some weird word that sounds like it's out of it, like it's out of Star Wars. I'm like,
Right.
and then when people tell me, hey, I listened to this thing on how to do those things. I'm like, that's 8 steps. Can I show you how to do it in two?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're like, okay, there's been a lot of noise out there. And so that it always makes me laugh. And then the other reason is that, like for me personally, is that we do 120 clients a year and that's it. Last year I was done by September.
Wow.
This year, we should be at our 120 probably by 1st of November. And we don't advertise. So when you say, "Hey, haven't heard about some of this stuff," it's because we don't advertise it. Most of our clients are referrals.
Right. 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 So what is that what the 2-day blueprint is? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So what it is it's a build out. So we get our hands on you for 2 days. In the 2 days, and one of our larger clients called it, wow, you gave us a real blueprint in 2 days, and that's why the name stuck. I just call it an off market attack or an off market build out. And what it is that for 2 days, we go from 10 to 5 each day, and we walk you through an operations map showing you that we basically build out and you watch us go step by step through how we run the daily flow. Because any day you wake up and grab a coffee, folks, we're already doing it in 138 cities and counting. So I already know what we do in each of those cities to grab multiple contracts and beat everybody to stuff. So
Yeah.
all we do is have you duplicate our efforts. So on day one, very first thing that we do is we click open a section called the Perfect Investor Day. So we'll say, hey, we do this first every day. Here's why. Let me show you the metrics because we track it. So this is why we do this. Here's how we do it. Copy this, paste that. Do it 25 times. You're done in 3 minutes. Secondly, we do this 17 times. It'll take you 4 minutes. So we have down to how many minutes. So the very first thing we do is say, hey, do you want to scorch the earth in any city you choose in 2.5 hours? And everybody's like, yeah, show me how it's done. And we just walk them through that. The beauty of it being built on an operations map is that there's no notes to take. Like the one I just completed, one person was like, I literally don't have to take notes, do I? Go, and they're looking at the operations map as we're going through it. I go, do you think you're going to take better notes than what I did on a plane with nothing better to do after speaking to 500 investors for a week? And
Nope.
they're like,
Nope.
probably not.
Yeah.
So we walk through that. So we go then secondly on day one, which is the number one reason people come to us, is how do I suffocate a city without a budget? So we simply one by one walk them through that. 18 of the lead funnels literally don't even impact your bank account. We just need to show you how we do it. Like one example is how do we grab deals off of Facebook, the number 2 website in the world. We have 4 different ways that we show our clients step by step inside the operations map how we do it for free.
Yeah.
Each one of those 4 techniques takes us less than 10 seconds.
Wow. And is this is this like an event that you do, or is this a one-on-one?
It's one on few. We only do 120 clients a year.
Got it.
So on any given month, we'll do 9 or 10 blueprints a year. So um, on any given month, if we have a larger client that we're working with that we have an offer sheet out to, hey, I need 800 homes in 36 months, and we're going to do a 2-day blueprint build up for their company. The difference between an individual and their company is there might be 15 people in their organization, and we're also in charge of hiring and training and teaching negotiations to their acquisitions teams to close the deals.
Got it.
And so on any given month, I'll do as little as 5 clients if we have larger responsibilities, all the way up to 10 to 15 clients. So we keep it small just because of the level of detail that we go in.
Gotcha.
So basically, in a nutshell, how do you do your daily flow lightning fast and enjoy the rest of your day?
Yeah.
How do we attack 34 ways, not 2? It's easy math. When your competition does 1 or 2 things and you have 34, the game's over. So then on day 2, we show you how to leverage it. How do I make the machine run whether you're working or not? And the reason I say leverage is because I hate when people say, "I'm going to scale your bit." Well, no kidding. We're going to show you. We have 11 different ways. We have technical teams that write software and code for you in whatever city you're in to automatically make things happen based upon your city. So it's well beyond the regular marketplace. So how do we make it run on day 2? And then the biggest thing where we throw the cherry on top on day 2 is that we teach full blown seller negotiations.
Got it.
So we teach the number 1 rule. No matter what market you're in, whatever your price point is, but seller always wants 300, you're 250. The moment there's a difference in price, we'll teach you 14 different ways that we flip the no or difference in price into a yes, because it's silly to beat everyone 34 ways and then not show you how we close them.
Right. I gotcha. So, because now I'm interested. Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
So when you say it's one, you do 9 to 10 blueprints a year. Is this a handful of companies that come out to you 9 to 10 times a year? Like you come out once and then you do this with multiple companies at one time? Or what does that look like? Or should I just, go to 2dayblueprint.com and learn more from there?
Oh, you could do that. But yeah, there's info on there and you can schedule a call directly with me.
Okay.
That's what the link is for. But uh, we'll offer 9 or 10 dates a year, and you can do it virtual as a client coming onboarding as a client. You can do it virtual, or you can do it in person. If you do it in person, you'll probably be down here in Tampa, St. Pete with me then.
Got it.
Once a year, since I'm from St. Louis, sometimes not all the time, but once a year we might do a St. Louis. But you can come to us in person and we'll do your build out, or you can do it virtually. And then when we're done, you have your operations map, your marketing portal, and then it's permanent access to us and the team. You have everybody's phone number, cell phone, email, mine as well. But we show people how to take over a marketplace.
Got it. And with this being a changing market,
Mhm.
right? I'm sure you've seen the change from the last couple of years to this time around, right?
Mhm.
How has what are some of the changes that you guys are seeing? Are you seeing maybe, hey, this time around last year, number marketing technique that was top 3 is now top 7 or number 7, right? And number 7 is now number 4. Has there been drastic changes, or is it just, dude, the same thing that's the basic work, you know what I mean? Have you
Yeah.
noticed a
So
difference?
so some of the things. Some of the lead funnels uh, aren't market pressure dependent. So
Got
some of
it.
the things that we do, just grab deals month in, month out, doesn't matter what the marketplace is doing. Some of them do. Like, so as an example, pre-foreclosure, we had the pandemic and then they stopped that. They stopped that for a while, right? So those are on the rise. So those have been ranking higher, higher, and higher, just because people got comfortable not making their payments, and now that all the mandates are gone, um, where they said that you couldn't foreclose on somebody, now all of a sudden that's on the rise, and so that one's kind of moving up the charts,
Gotcha.
and but
That's a good point. That makes sense.
but comparatively speaking, it's really hard ranking wise and tracking wise for one of the lead sources to move up or down 5 or 6 spots. They'll wiggle up and down a spot or two. So we know which ones in any marketplace, any condition are going to get us the highest level of motivation, fastest conversation to contract, and biggest equity spreads on the back end. Um, and so that's what I would tell you. Now it will change the back end strategy.
Right.
Like
Right.
you could, hey, I'll buy it and flip it, right? You could buy it or contract it and wholesale it. You could cash flow it. You could do owner financing, subject to. So in the market right now, when interest rates are high, right? They're higher right now. But people from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago bought their houses, now are in a situation and they have good interest rates. Instead of us just buying it and flipping it, we may take over their payments, give them a chunk of change or however we structure it, right?
Yep.
And just do a subject to and take it over just because their interest rate is
Right.
unbelievable.
Right. I gotcha.
And because think about this, an asset that you could get a contract on, let's say for 200, and then you would try and wholesale it to somebody else for 230 and make 30 grand. You could do that and just offer it as a straight buy the contract off of me. But what if you just spent 5 extra minutes talking to the homeowner about getting them some capital, but can you take over their loan? I'll put that same property out there because I took over their loan and say, hear ye, what landlords want to take over this property? I'm looking for 30 grand, and you can just simply take it over and keep the interest rate of 3.25%.
Right.
Every landlord in town would do that. And instead of asking for my 30 grand, I might ask for 38 grand.
Right. Right.
Right? So still doing a deal, but I structured it differently because interest rates are higher right now. So I know I'll get a premium because I put
Yep.
the deal together on the front end because somebody else doesn't have to go get a loan. And the funny thing is, being speaking from a guideline and banker standpoint, the reason people will pay more for that, one, you're getting a good interest rate, but most people don't think about some of the other stuff like, isn't there sex appeal in not having to go get a loan? Because I already know you're going to have to pay for an appraisal, underwriting fee, this fee, that fee, this fee, that.
Yep.
So even though at a glance you're like, well, I don't know, are people going to pay an extra 8 grand? I guarantee you they will, because the things that I just verbalized are going to, without having to go get a loan, that's going to save them 3, 4 grand anyways. So now it's going back down closer to what it was anyways.
Yep. No, absolutely. And their credit doesn't get hit. You don't have to have a loan on you on your record, on your on your credit report.
Correct.
So no, absolutely. And what you just said, just saving all the costs on a new loan,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm genuinely curious, man, having all this experience and having so much, I guess, for lack of better words, knowledge of a lot of cities, right? You have your hands on the pulse of a lot of markets. What are some of the markets right now that you're seeing are kind of the most affected by this interest rate wave that we're having? Have you noticed that, like, are
Oh
there
yeah, that's pretty. That's
super, they're, hey, this market is like it never even got affected, while this market is like completely totally different now.
it's
Have you
the
seen
it's
anything
the
like that?
I call it the upper middle. Meaning what's getting affected the most? It's the higher price point areas. And why I say upper middle, I'm not talking about the uber expensive areas like certain areas of Los Angeles or Washington D.C. The price per square foot there is astronomical. Um,
Right.
so because interest rates are higher, that doesn't affect it so much because somebody who's already buying in that price point
Right.
is already making ends meet, so it doesn't affect it as much. But I would tell you, any city where the median sales price is anywhere from, let's just say, 400 to 750. That's where you're seeing the squeeze a little bit, because when you're in that range, you're doing some you're doing some things to make some money to be able to afford that, but the higher interest rate seems to be affecting those price points in those areas the most.
Right, right. That makes sense, that makes sense. And are you seeing that people are having to change a lot of their investing strategies? Obviously, you're talking about, we brought up some creative stuff, some subject to. We brought up some potential, novation stuff. Um, I've been kind of I've been one of those hard-headed investors that have just been stuck in my ways, and, like, I know the wholesaling and flipping, the cash offer, it's just simple, and I haven't really adopted any, like, creative stuff or novations, and, I'm not saying that I'm saying that as a bad thing, right? Like, I haven't really done any of that,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm hearing a lot of people are pivoting into more creative stuff and into some more innovations. Um, and are you seeing some of your students or some of your members in your community having to pivot a lot more than they want to?
Yeah, I see people pivoting. The ones that aren't pivoting are the ones that are complaining that um, their monthly bottom lines being affected by higher rates. So yeah, absolutely, you should look at deals differently in
Right.
the marketplace. Um, and where I think it's affected people the most, it's the people who do big flips.
Yeah.
Uh, that's that's really it's affected that market just for the simple fact that it gets dicey when interest rates are higher and you're doing a bigger flip that might take a little bit longer with interest rates higher, so it could eat into your profitability. But then just a 5% change in what listing prices are could really affect your profitability on some of those. So if you're going to do, like, if you fall into the category where you want to flip, which is great, I would really evaluate hard. There's two things you have to do: evaluate hard, um, and negotiate harder to get a bigger discount on the front end, to insulate yourself from that, or just look at those quicker flips, the clean outs, the carpet and cabinets, and get it back on the market.
Yeah. Paying carpet back on the market.
Hmm.
Um, are you seeing that with being able to beat the competition to these leads, right? With once you start flooding the market and you get all of these leads, are you seeing that investors are having to close on properties because of opportunity? Meaning, um, you just get a really good deal, super motivated seller, and because you're first to market, you want to close on it quickly
Hmm.
before seller changes their mind or whatever. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Are you seeing that as some of your clients who start having a lot of the success on getting just inundated with leads, that they're having to close on deals?
Yeah, yeah. We preach that anyways. Yeah, we see more people closing on deals, um, because again, with some of the market pressures, some of your end buyers have kind of dried up a little bit from the
Right,
standpoint of they're wanting like disgustingly good deals if you're going to wholesale it to them. So
right.
our clients, we get them because funding's what I've done the longest: specialty funding, private funding, hard money.
Mm,
So we tell them, we're like, look, when we press go 34 ways and your competition has two, you're going to win. But let us teach you these couple items because, which are, we teach them two ways to raise capital for deals, because you're going to get in front of some really good deals that need to close fast, or
right.
you just need to close on it because you want to make more money.
Yep, yep. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, I love that. Yeah, because that is something that we've recently experienced, right?
Mhm,
And we have raised some money to be able to take down these situations, or just because of, the wholesale margins just aren't the same anymore on certain deals, you
mhm,
know? And so
yeah,
the only way to kinda capitalize that deal is to now just take it down and flip it, right? Or paint and carpet, put it back on the market to try to maximize the profit on that deal. And I've been wholesaling for the past 7 years, and very rarely did we actually close on stuff, right?
Mhm, yeah,
Now I've noticed, like, the past year, we're just getting more, um, forced to close on stuff, maximize the deal, or, um, if we get really good deals and we don't close on it, then, we're coming in with our buyers and, things can sometimes mess up and it's like, man, we should have just closed on that deal, controlled it to begin with, and then we can do whatever we want. We can list it on the MLS, we can trash it out, we can whatever, right? Um,
yeah,
so I have noticed that it has been a little bit beneficial for us actually closing on stuff.
yep.
And that's something that you preach, so that's awesome. So really quickly, while people are listening, how can people learn more about you? Just a little plug real quick on, we put up earlier the 2dayblueprint.com.
Mhm.
Are you on Instagram, Facebook? What's the best way for
Oh,
people?
yeah, yeah, I'm on you can hit me up on Facebook, just friend request me, but you can go to the number 2, dayblueprint.com. It's got information on what we do. You'll see tons of clients and what they say, and then there's a link to schedule a call on the calendar, and 99% of you that schedule a call will talk to me. The only time that I don't take my own call, because we only do 120 clients. Um, the only time I don't take my own calls if I'm on a plane, like
Got
I
it.
was, and then my staff will take that. But yeah, so you can learn information about us and what we do. But as I said before, like getting to the good deals first.
Yeah.
Like like if you want, I can illustrate like how far beyond the casual investor we are. If like you really want me to like dive into
Yeah, please do.
one of the lead sources, and I think that
Yeah.
everybody that is listening and everybody that hears this will get a clear understanding of, oof, maybe that is vastly different than what I've ever heard or run across before. So, okay, so in the spirit of that, like as an example, folks, as I mentioned, one of our favorite lead sources is delinquent property tax homeowners. Okay, and any city that we track, you should be going. Anybody that hears this, you should be going after them. Period.
Yep.
Um, it should be like you should go to investor timeout for a month if you're not doing it. But having said that, here's what most investors do: they get a list of delinquent property tax homeowner, oopsie number one, and just go market to all of them. You shouldn't. So if we're peeling back the onion a little bit, one is that 1 year behind could be an accident. Probably not, could be. 2 years behind in the history of mankind has never been an accident. So think about that as you're listening. So I'm just giving you a little insight there. So we'll take a list like in this county here, 14,000 people missed their payment. We teach when we're setting up not just why this lead source wins, why we close 1 out of every 8, not 1 out of every 52 on high equity absentee owners or vacants. So they understand that. But then we say, don't go after 1 year behind. We go after 2, and then we give a few more criteria, and we'll go from 14,000 down to 1,200. Those are the 1,200 that we should actually go after.
Right.
Now, having said that, to illustrate like different way, different levels of playing here, right? Most investors, 99% of them, trained 25,000 of them through all the TV entities and the Kiyosakis over the years. When I originally get in front of them, and if this subject comes up, I'm like, hey, tell me what you would do. They're like, well, I would go after them and say, hey, before you lose your house to tax sale, let me put some, you know what, in their pocket, right?
Right.
Let me put some cash in your pocket. So that's what they do. So, folks, as you're listening right now, or you hear this on a replay, wherever you hear it, listen to me when I say this. While they do that, when we do a build up for clients like the one I just finished, I smile and say, let them all do that because all they're doing is pissing off the homeowner because the homeowner's had 15 of those. Now, when I say that, you initially think, oh, yeah, you're out. I have competition. Who cares? because they're doing it all wrong and the
Right.
homeowners are mad. So when they do that, I smile, I click open the operations map and go, you see right here, folks? Can you put your name at the bottom? They're like, yeah. I go, then they're going to get a letter that sounds like this. Hey, we notice you're behind on your state property taxes. At our tax care organization, we help pull funds together to pay those delinquent taxes for those who qualify for assistance. If you'd like to see if you're eligible for assistance, visit us at, email us at, and hit us up at, and reference
Mm.
tax assistance code TAC 4240001. Program note: anybody owning more than one property cannot receive assistance on more than one property per our guidelines, and all funds are released directly to the county collector of revenue, and you're entitled to a copy of the receipt. Sincerely, Eligibility Department. Now,
Dude,
who
that's
do you think's going to get all the phone calls? And you know what they don't do to you, folks? Here's what they don't do to you anymore. One, it's an incoming phone call. Two, I don't have to be consistent like the gurus say, because they actually call me first time around. So our response rate's astronomical. So I don't have to live in a world where I'll just keep following. I don't need to. And then three, you know what they don't do to you? They don't call. You don't answer your phone and hey, so yeah, make your low offer like they don't.
right.
Hey, I'm calling about there's a code here, TAC 424. Yeah, give me 2 minutes. And we teach you. Give me 2 minutes. Tell me how you got behind.
Yep.
We have three separate ways we can help you. We exist because we don't think this process is fair. And they call ready to spill their guts. They tell us their real problems. We make them wait 48 hours. Then we teach you 3 different offer buckets that we put them in. And it's easy to close win-win contracts and deals over and over and over when they tell you the real problems from the very first get-go, because you engage them the right way.
Right. Right.
So just to give you an example, like so far beyond the regular investor, like not this isn't a fair fight.
Right. No, that's huge. And I actually I've actually never heard that before. So that's amazing.
Yeah, what I just verbalized is 100 variations deep. This particular one I'm speaking of is 9 years in development. So what we do is we build them out. We already have everything. So when we do a blueprint, like just this one technique I'm talking about right now, we do a full-blown tax advocacy website build out. And we tell them, I'm like, you're not an investor, you're a tax advocacy company. Everyone in town shall and will know that they should come to you when they've missed tax payments, because your marketing and your online presence dictate it. And they will tell you when they start. I'm just giving people an example here. And when they call you, they'll be like, wow, no one's ever offered me options before without even buying my house. Yeah, we exist because we don't think this process is fair, because what we teach you is 2 of the 3 ways for us to help the homeowner. Don't even involve them moving, but there's still ways to make money on it. So
Mm.
I hope that explodes people's brains and lets them go, how's it even possible?
Right. Right.
Well, 8.5 years in development, we know how it's possible.
Yeah.
So we get all the phone calls. They talk to us the right way. They want to work with us, and then we lay out the options and they pick one. Not hard.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love that. And that is very, very, very ninja and unique, hitting somebody, on these lists. Everybody's dodging the lowball offers, right? Everybody know, because now it's not like 10 years ago where, people were barely calling these lists. And so, the few phone calls that they got, they were open to hearing an offer, maybe talking to. Now they're getting 15 calls a day and they're like, yeah, they're all low balls. I don't want to do that. I want to figure out a way to save my house if I can,
Yep.
'cause that is the go-to, is like same with people in pre-foreclosure. You know what I mean? Like the first thought is not, I got to get rid of this thing. The first thought is, all right, how do I save this? Right. Either in tax delinquent, pre-foreclosures, and and hitting them with that angle is genius.
Yeah, and so this may be opening Pandora's box, but um, and my business partner might kill me for it. But why not? So we've been privately testing for about 90 days now. So all of our clients that we bring on, we teach it. We created a direct pipeline to one of my hedge funds. So there's a percentage of those leads that nothing ever happens from the lead. In fact, if I'm getting granular with it, 29% of them, so a third. Um, First of all, we engage them the right way. I think I illustrated that.
Yep.
But one of the disconnects from finding a way to work together standpoint still ends up with, yeah, I'm just trying to find a way to stay in my house. So I
Right.
already know, because we track it all, that 29% of the leads are going to fall into that category, and they'll be in denial and march all the way to tax sale.
Yep.
So it's unfortunate, because then they end up with nothing. I think everybody understands that. So what we did and what we've been testing is that we created a direct submission portal, to a pipeline to our hedge funds, where we get to offer them a homeowner relief program. And what I mean is this, and again, just showing you folks, there's a different way to play here. And and I've already been privately doing it for a while. But anyway, so we created a portal, so where we teach our clients, hey, some of them are going to just be delusional,
Mhm.
hell bent on staying in their house. And normally you can't do that, because if you strike a deal with them, they got to move, right?
Yep.
So here's what we did. We created a direct pipeline submission form to our hedge fund. The hedge fund, if they want to stay in their house, will give them, you do the submission, they'll call, because they've already been doing this for a long time. Okay. And they'll call and say, hey, tell us the situation. What are back taxes? What are back payments? What are this? Do you have any collections? Do you have medical bills? Do you need a car? Do you need this and that? And let's say the house is worth 200 grand. Normally, we'd all, as investors, try and negotiate and get it for 110, 120, 130, right? Normal deal. Well, let's say we submit to our hedge fund, they schedule a call and have a conversation with them. And what they really need is 40 grand to get back on their feet. Our hedge fund will give them the 40 grand. They'll buy the house and give the homeowner an exclusive right to buy it back after they've paid off everything for 1 year.
Mhm.
So where you and I would try and negotiate on a good deal or wholesale deal or flip 10, 120, 130 because it's worth 200, they'll say, hey, look, we'll give you exactly what you needed to get a car, to pay off medical bills, to pay off this and that, which looks like it's 40 grand. We're going to add a 5 or 10 grand success fee on it, and you got to pay us 1% per month. So
Yep.
if it's 50 grand, $500. And if the homeowner doesn't buy it back in a year, we have contracts in place where we get exclusive right to JV the deal with our client on the back
Mhm.
end for the 45 or 50 grand. I
Wow.
want that to sink in, everybody.
Wow.
And do you know when? And again, this is the first time I'm saying this publicly. My partner might be mad at me about it, but I don't care, because it's all set up and ready to roll. But listen to me when I say this, folks. I just told you 29% of them, because we close a lot of them, which means we close a lot of the other percentages. But 29%, the only impasse where there's a fork in the road where they go one way and I go another, or you go another, is that they want to try and find a way to stay in the house. You don't have really anything to offer them typically,
Yeah.
because if you're going to give them cash, most investors don't have the cash to give to them, and then say, yeah, I'll give you an extra year to get on your feet, and then you got to move, or maybe buy it back at a much higher amount. So it's because you don't have the money. Well, my hedge fund does.
Yeah. Oh, they got the money, and
So,
it's been sitting there for a year because they haven't been
yeah,
able to
correct.
buy as aggressive. Yep.
So think about this. The hedge fund just wants their 1% a month and their success fee of 5 or 10 grand, and to lend it out with a good equity position. I know which lead sources with 93% accuracy are free and clear. So think about this.
Yep.
I know how to go from 14,000 in my example in Pinellas County down to 1,200 that I know are free and clear. So they have truckloads of equity. And I could normally negotiate 110, 120, 130 because it's worth 200, but the hedge fund will buy it for 40 or 50. If they default or they don't buy it back, then I have in writing exclusive right to JV with our client.
Right.
What that means is this. The reason you probably haven't heard this before, folks, is because nobody does this. Nobody has the money and a direct submission portal to give the homeowner relief and buy them a little bit of time. And if they get back on their feet and buy it back, you got a smoking hot testimonial. And it just,
Yep.
and by the way, every time the hedge fund does it, they'll also give the RN client $1,500 and tell them keep rolling, supersize, do some more mailings. Like
Yep.
I had one person that did a $400 campaign with the, hey, we noticed you're behind on your state or tax care organization. So they did the 400 campaign, and they had, I think, 7 people take them up on their homeowner relief offer,
Yep.
direct submission portal. And so they already made 9 or 10 grand off of the 400,
Right.
and some of those are going to default. And now you get to take over the property at a price that you could never, ever negotiate.
Right.
And guess what? When they default, we don't have to foreclose because we already own it.
Yeah, you're already on title. Yeah.
Already own it.
That's crazy.
That is,
That's
I'm not going
crazy.
to cuss. I almost did. That is freaking nasty.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love it.
Nasty. And so think about this. Imagine walking around in your marketplace, networking with other investors, shaking their hands, and just when you're shaking their hand internally, just smiling, going, you have no chance.
Yeah.
They can't offer this because they would run out of money. A regular investor can't offer an option like that on 29% of the leads that are trying to find a way to stay in their house. Because if you did that, you'd have to wait a year to see what happens.
Correct.
And if 3 people wanted to do it at 50 grand a pop, most regular investors would be out of money.
Yeah.
So our clients are, for the last 90 days, have been walking around with something that no one else has.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Are you currently taking on more clients?
Well, we were almost, like I said, I'll probably be done by November 1st, November 10th.
Okay.
Once we hit 120 clients, we close it, and then we'll do it again next year. So you
Got
can schedule a call, and depending on when you schedule a call, as long as we're not full, then yeah, pick a date. If not, you got to pick January, February, March. We do 120 clients. The reason we do that is because we give ongoing permanent help and mentorship.
Got it.
Not, hey, let us set up to attack a city 34 ways without a budget. And, oh, now you have a question. Now you need 50 grand, 80 grand in coaching. We don't do that.
Right.
We want to close deals with you. It's in my best interest to turn you into a blueprint assassin.
Right. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I did have one question, because I always love certain questions to people that have access to a lot of investors, right? Because you see what's working for other people, you see what's not working for other people. And I'm genuinely curious, what do you think is maybe 1 or 2 of the biggest differentiators that make someone a top dog in their market versus just another investor in their market?
They're what they focus on.
Their focus.
Most investors that, like, everybody likes to get it, I got this ninja nugget, this and that, and I have tons of those. Those fall out of my pocket.
Right.
Like, we have so many of them. But from what differentiates people, it's how you operate.
Right.
Meaning this. It's the second thing that we teach. First thing that we teach is, you're the CEO of the company. Master the flow of this. I need you to know how to do it so we can scale it up and hand it off to the appropriate people. On day 2 of our blueprint, I have all the people standing there waiting to help run the show, to keep you at the top of the mountain. And so I always tell people the second thing, which is the toughest for most, and this is the differentiator, is that master the process. Don't worry about the outcome. Meaning, master the process. We don't worry about contracts. Because when people schedule a call, they're like, hey, Jason, I was referred to you by a guy that's doing 40 homes a month, and they said that you built it. I'm like, yep. And then here's the thing, to answer your question. Here's the second thing I get on every call, almost every call. I say, how fast, once I implement your system, am I gonna
get a contract?
Thank you. Get a contract. I'm like, you're already doing it wrong.
Yep.
Show me a person that can master the 2.5 hour perfect day that we lay out, and show me a person that wakes up and says, all I care about is running this daily process and flow to the best of my freaking ability.
Right.
Like an assassin. I'll show you somebody who's just added 400 grand to their bottom line every year.
Wow.
And so what I would tell you is that show me a person that's going to master the process and not care about contracts. That's the person that's going to make the most money and close the most deals and build the biggest portfolio, because you're doing it right. The moment you focus on that, you put pressure on everyone else in the marketplace. If you're worried about getting a contract, the whole world's going to know it, including the number one person you don't want to know that, which is the seller.
Seller, right.
So we teach that. We teach it what we call a seller waltz on day 2 of the blueprint. It's irresponsible of me to show you how to beat everybody 34 ways and then not show you how we close the seller. So differentiator is master the process. Don't worry about contracts because they'll start stacking up. That's one. And then two, the other differentiator is that most people have no clue how to bridge the gap in price. And the funny thing is, we teach a little bit on day 1, but on day 2, we specifically spend time showing you how we close sellers. And I don't mean that in a derogatory manner. People are like, oh, you're going to slice and dice a homeowner, kind of. But deals don't close unless two parties agree.
Right.
So you need to understand it's the first thing that when we talk about negotiations, the number one rule is seller always wants 500, you're at 450, or seller wants 100, you're at 80. It's going to happen every time. Now what?
Yeah.
Right? So we have 14 different ways in 4 minutes flat that we flip them from a no to a yes. And 2 of the 14 ways to make money on the property don't involve you having the house under contract yet. Meaning, every time you talk to a property owner, there's 2 ways that we teach you to make money on it, and you don't even have a contract on it, which is not just nasty, it's Janet Jackson nasty.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome, man. So, dude, you have been a freaking open book. I really, really appreciate it. Usually, when I have people on here that have a product, they don't really like to get into the nuts and bolts. They just direct people into the website. And you've been completely opposite. You're like, hey, I don't mind sharing this thing. Let's get into a strategy that's super ninja.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean, they
love
can
that,
listen
man.
to the podcast over and over and
Yeah,
literally. Now, on the back end, you need to know what to offer them, the 3 different offerings and this, that, and the other thing. But just out of the gate, if you listen to this and took notes and did a mailing, then I'm pretty confident you'll be scheduling a call with me because I already know your phone will blow up.
yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I really, really appreciate this. Thank you so much for being an open book.
Yeah.
I'm I'm I've been on my phone a little bit because I've been, like, going through the 2-day
Oh, the 2-day
spread
thing?
kind
Yeah.
of as we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Dude,
How do you like those testimonials on there?
I need to sign up. I need to sign up for at least a call and see what you have going on, man."
Well, yeah, and we give the names on there too. So, because we know how you people like to wormhole the internet and find the people that are testimonials. Hit them all up. See
Yes.
what they
Yep.
say.
Oh,
I
that's
want you
awesome.
to.
I love that. I love that. I appreciate it, man. For people who maybe tuned in a little bit late or are just hearing this now, how can they learn more about you? How can they reach out?
Yeah, you can reach out on Facebook and friend request me, send me a private message. But the easiest way is to just schedule a call with me. Just go, it's on the screen, the number 2dayblueprint.com. It's got my personal calendar on it. And when I call, it's my cell phone, not a Google Voice number and not some hated, and I'll even use some of my daughter's millennials stuff like, hey, cringy salesperson. I just want to know what your business, what you're doing, and what you want to do.
Yep.
I'll tell you what we do, and if it's a fit, then we'll we'll help you. Literally, whatever city you choose, point, shoot. Your marketplace will feel you. Your competitors will feel you overnight, and there ain't shit they can do about it.
Yep. I love it. Jason, thank you so much for being an open book again.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're listening to this now, maybe you tuned in late or you've been watching this whole thing, but I highly encourage everybody to rewatch this. Watch it from the beginning. This is going to be on our YouTube channel, the Cash Geeks Network, or on my personal Facebook. With that being said, Jason, thank you so much. Guys, I'm out. I will see you next Tuesday, 6